From an insane no-look save to using magic to save with his eyes closed, these are the 20 craziest saves in NHL history.
Hockey is fast, unpredictable, and sometimes unforgiving. 1 second, everything is going as planned. The next, a single mistake changes everything. Even the best players in the world aren't immune to disaster. And over the years, a few plays have stood out for all the wrong reasons. Take Leon Draisaitl's own goal in 2019. Draisaitl is one of the NHL's most skilled players, a Hart Trophy winner, and a scoring machine for the Edmonton Oilers. But in a game against the San Jose Sharks, he made a mistake no one saw coming. While trying to make a simple pass, he accidentally sent the puck straight into his own net. It was a shocking moment, and instantly, fans were reminded of Steve Smith's infamous blunder in 1986, a play that cost the Oilers a playoff series. Draisaitl's mistake didn't have the same consequences since it was a regular season game, but it still became a viral moment. It was proof that even the best players can have a night they'd rather forget. Goaltenders aren't safe from these moments either, and Jonathan Quick learned that the hard way in the 2013 playoffs. It was Game 1 of the series between the Los Angeles Kings and St. Louis Blues. Quick had been playing lights out, making save after save to keep his team in the game. Then, in overtime, disaster struck. He went behind his net to play the puck, but instead of clearing it, he lost control. Alexander Steen, who had been pressuring him, took full advantage. He stole the puck and scored an easy short-handed goal, handing the Blues a 2-1 win. It was a crushing mistake, made even worse by the fact that it happened in overtime of a playoff game. Quick's teammates defended him, saying it was just bad luck. But there was no escaping the fact that his blunder had cost the Kings the game. Mistakes like these are painful, but sometimes they're just plain embarrassing. No moment proves that more than Brad Marchand's failed shootout attempt in 2020. The Boston Bruins were facing the Philadelphia Flyers, and the game had gone to a shootout. With Boston needing a goal to stay alive, Marchand was called on to take the shot. He skated towards center ice, ready to make his move. But then something unbelievable happened. He overskated the puck and barely made contact with it. Because he touched it, the play was ruled a shot attempt. And just like that, the game was over. Fans couldn't believe what they had just seen. Marchand, known for his skill and confidence, had just delivered one of the worst shootout attempts in NHL history. The Bruins, already struggling in shootouts that season, fell to 0-7 in that situation, and Marchand became the face of a moment he'd rather erase. Similarly, Dennis Wideman's hit on a referee was one of the most shocking moments in recent NHL history. It happened on January 27, 2016, during a game between the Calgary Flames and the Nashville Predators. Wideman had just taken a hard hit from Mika Salamaki, and as he skated back toward the bench, he looked dazed. Then, out of nowhere, he cross-checked linesman Don Henderson from behind, sending him crashing to the ice. Wideman later said it wasn't intentional. He claimed he was disoriented from the hit and didn't see Henderson in his path. He even apologized during the game and insisted he had the utmost respect for officials. But the video told a different story. It looked like Wideman had full control of his movements, which led to massive controversy. Henderson suffered a serious concussion and severe neck injuries that required surgery. He never officiated another NHL game. The league came down hard, suspending Wideman for 20 games under the rule that covers physical abuse of officials. But after an appeal, an arbitrator reduced it to 10 games, saying there wasn't enough proof of intent. Not every major mistake on the ice is violent, though. Sometimes it's just an unfortunate accident, like what happened to Nicholas Hjalmarsson in 2015. Known for being one of the most reliable defensemen in the league, Hjalmarsson had built a reputation as a key part of the Chicago Blackhawks' success. But during a game against the Colorado Avalanche, he made a mistake no one expected. While trying to clear the puck from behind his own net, he misjudged the angle. Instead of sending it safely up the boards, he fired it straight into his own goal. Own goals are rare in hockey, mostly because the net is so small compared to a sport like soccer. But this one stood out because of who made it. Hjalmarsson was a 3-time Stanley Cup champion and one of the best defensive players in the game. Seeing him make such an uncharacteristic mistake made the moment even more shocking. The Blackhawks went on to lose the game, and that play became one of the most memorable own goals in recent NHL history. Sometimes, though, it's not a single player making a mistake, it's the entire team. That's exactly what happened to the Vancouver Canucks on March 7, 2019, in a game against the Arizona Coyotes. In the middle of a routine line change, something went horribly wrong. Multiple Canucks players jumped off the ice at the same time while Arizona was on the attack. The breakdown in communication left their goaltender, Jacob Markstrom, completely helpless. Nick Cousins of the Coyotes took full advantage, scoring one of the easiest goals of his career. For the Canucks, this play was a perfect example of their struggles that season. They were still fighting for a playoff spot, but defensive lapses like this kept costing them games. Even though they put up a fight later that night, they eventually lost in overtime. That goal became a symbol of their frustrating year, one where mental mistakes kept getting in the way of success. Fans and analysts tore into the team for the error. And even though line change mistakes happen, this one stood out because of how avoidable it was. A single miscalculation can change the course of a game, and sometimes even a season. Mike Smith knows this all too well. In 2018, during a game against the Los Angeles Kings, he misjudged a routine dump-in from center ice. The puck took an awkward bounce, slipped past him, and went straight into the net. No pressure from an opposing player, no complicated play, just a simple mistake that left him and his team stunned. For a veteran goaltender, this kind of error is tough to swallow. Analysts pointed out that Smith, despite his size, was struggling with his positioning and overthinking plays. On top of that, changes to NHL equipment rules had reportedly affected his confidence, making him more uncomfortable in net. Smith was known for his aggressive, risk-taking style, but this time, it backfired in the worst possible way. The mistake not only gave the Kings an easy goal, but also reinforced the doubts about Smith's ability to stay steady under pressure. But goalies aren't the only ones who can have disastrous moments. The Ottawa Senators' defense suffered a brutal collapse in 2017 during Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Pittsburgh Penguins. It was double overtime, and every mistake could mean the end of their season. That's when Chris Kunitz found himself wide open near the net. Ottawa failed to cover him, and he didn't miss. The goal sent Pittsburgh to the Stanley Cup final and crushed Ottawa's Cinderella playoff run. This was a team that had fought against the odds to get this far, relying on a strong defensive structure. But in the most critical moment, fatigue and pressure took their toll. Craig Anderson did everything he could, stopping 39 shots, but he couldn't save his team from their own defensive lapse. It was the kind of mistake that haunts a franchise for years, showing just how little room there is for error in the playoffs, especially against a team as experienced as the Penguins. Then there's Carey Price, one of the best goaltenders of his generation, who made a rare but costly mistake in the 2014 Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Rangers. It was Game 5, and Montreal needed a win to stay alive in the series. Price had left his net to play the puck, but he misjudged it. Chris Kreider took full advantage, scoring an easy goal that completely shifted the momentum in New York's favor. For Montreal, this was more than just a simple misplay. It came at a moment when they needed their star goalie to be perfect. Price had already been dealing with controversy after Kreider's earlier collision with him in Game 1, which had forced him out of the series with an injury. Now, with the Canadiens struggling to keep their season alive, this mistake felt even bigger. The team never recovered, and the Rangers went on to win the series. Meanwhile, Milan Lucic had a moment in 2019 that Flames fans would rather forget. It was late in the game, and Calgary had the perfect chance to seal the win with an empty net goal. Lucic got the puck, skated in, and all he had to do was hit the net. But somehow, he missed. The arena went silent for a second, and then, before anyone could even process what had happened, Lucic made things worse. Instead of recovering from the mistake, he took a penalty right after. That gave the other team a power play, and they didn't waste it. The momentum shifted, and just like that, Calgary lost control of the game. But if Flames fans were frustrated that night, What happened to the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2013 was on another level. It was Game 7 against the Boston Bruins, and Toronto had a 4-1 lead with just over 11 minutes left in the third period. Everything was going right. Leafs fans could feel it. This was finally the year they would break through. But then, the collapse began. First, Nathan Horton scored to make it 4-2. No big deal. Toronto still had a 2-goal cushion. But as time ticked down, Milan Lucic found the back of the net, cutting the lead to 1. The tension in the building was unreal, and then, with less than a minute left, Patrice Bergeron tied the game. Just like that, the Leafs' lead was gone. In overtime, it was Bergeron again, completing the comeback and ending Toronto's season in the most painful way possible. This wasn't just a bad loss, it was historic. No team in NHL history had ever come back from 3 goals down in the third period to win a Game 7. Until that night. Leafs coach Randy Carlyle later admitted the team simply ran out of gas. For Toronto fans, it became one of the most heartbreaking moments in franchise history. A reminder of just how fast everything can fall apart. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button.